As part of President Trump's plan to overhaul our tax system, the Trump administration has proposed a tax holiday for corporate earnings stored overseas. That's right, tax holiday. Now, this so-called holiday could lead to tax rates for offshore corporate profits be slashed from 35% all the way down to a low 10%. Now, that, of course, would be on the over $2 trillion stashed overseas. That is a great deal of money that is just sitting over in the Cayman Islands. They want to cut that to 10%. Now, Republicans in Congress, of course, have been looking to do a tax holiday for years, and now with them in power, they actually look like they might be able to do this. Now, you might be thinking, okay, great. They're going to bring that money back, and they're going to invest in jobs. They're going to invest in infrastructure, right? And the government's going to get some of that money, and they're going to get 10%. Great, that's a good deal for everybody. They get to keep their money and create jobs. But no, actually, it doesn't work that way. It actually kind of works the opposite. Well, how do you know, Jeff? Well, it's because we tried it before. This isn't some half-cocked theory. This is experience. We've done this before. And look, what happened was the complete opposite of what you would expect to happen. So let me give you the details here. Now, in 2004, the Bush administration and Congress tried a tax repatriation holiday, cutting the rate to 5.25%. Holy hell. So they tried this with an even more conservative number, with even less taxes. Now, there was the rate. What was the result? Well, a Senate study in 2011 found that corporations brought $312 billion they had stashed overseas back to the United States, avoiding $3.3 billion in taxes as a result of the repatriation rate. Now, again, we have $2 trillion stashed overseas now. So when they bring that back, the government is actually, and of course us, by extension, we're going to lose out on billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars in taxable income. Wow. Okay. Now, again, they repatriated this money, very low tax rate. Now, what happened? Well, the top 15 companies that took advantage of the holiday, they actually, instead of investing in jobs, creating more jobs, they actually reduced employment by over 21,000 jobs. Oops. So they cut jobs. Now, after bringing home saving $3.3 billion, right? So how did that actually work? I mean, for one, what did they even do with the money, too? Well, first, let me go to the conclusion of this 2011 study. The report surveyed studies of all 840 corporations that took advantage of the repatriation and concluded that there was, quote, no evidence that repatriated funds increased overall U.S. employment. Well, yeah, because they lost employment. Over 20,000, almost 21,000 jobs were cut after this happened. So, yeah, you could actually say, and they're very conservative in this, they should say that it had a negative effect on U.S. employment. Now, that same report found that while employment decreased, two very important things increased incredibly, like dramatically, okay? Executive compensation and stock buybacks. The Intercept's Z. Jelani reported that the top 5 executives at the top 15 repatriating corporations saw their annual compensation increase by 27% in the years of 2004 and 2005. Meanwhile, those same corporations that repatriated funds increased their spending on stock buybacks 16% from 2004 to 2005 and 38% from 2005 to 2006. So that is, you're essentially doubling that. Wow. William Lazanick, an economist at the University of Massachusetts Lowell, has long studied the issue of stock buybacks. Jelani writes, he noted in a Brookings paper published in 2015 that corporations have essentially established what is known as a buyback economy. Between 2004 and 2013, 454 companies in the S&P index did $3.4 trillion in stock buybacks, representing 51% of net income. These companies expended an additional 35% of net income on dividends. So let's translate this. Haha, suckers. See, we're big companies, and you let us bring back this money with the promise that we would give you more jobs. Well, guess what? We're not going to create jobs. Nobody told us we had to create jobs. All we're going to do is we're going to give ourselves bonuses and inflate our own stock prices that actually make our company appear to be more valuable than it actually is. And you believed us. We said there were going to be jobs. There's no jobs for you. We don't need to create jobs. You idiots, you plebeians. Now, we want another holiday, and you're going to give it to us. Because now we have Trump on our side. We have the Republican Party on our side that we own lock, stock, and barrel. So that's what's going to happen. Now, Jelani notes these corporations are hardly concealing the fact that they would like to repeat this 2004 repatriation experiment. Gee, I wonder why that would be. I wonder, $2 trillion overseas? Just stuck in these tax-free havens with a tax rate of just 10%? Holy hell. That's going to be a payday. They're going to make it rain up in this bitch. It's a huge, huge payday. Now, in January, The Intercept reviewed dozens of earnings calls and investor briefings and found many executives suggesting they'd use another repatriation holiday to increase stock buybacks and do mergers and acquisitions. Now, for example, Cisco Systems Chief Financial Officer Kelly Kramer told a securities analyst, quote, "We would have a blend of actions we can certainly take with our dividend as well as our share buyback, as well as leading flexibility for us to be able to do mergers and acquisitions and strategic investments." Now, basically, that's a fancy way of saying we're going to buy more companies, get bigger, lay off more people, because that's usually what happens in these mergers and buyback, or in these acquisitions. I mean, consider Bain Capital, for example. These companies, vulture capitalists, would go in, they would acquire these companies, run up debt, and then shutter the company, and then sell it off into pieces. They make a profit, and hundreds of people, sometimes thousands of people, end up losing their jobs in this. That's what these companies are doing. They're not creating jobs, they're destroying jobs. And they're, in turn, making people more and more desperate, which, of course, makes them more susceptible to be able to tolerate, I should say, lower wages and less benefits for the remaining jobs. You get more and more people desperate, and they're going to take anything they can find just to stay afloat. And unfortunately, we see that. As far as jobs go, look, these companies, they were never going to create jobs because they're not going to invest in jobs that are unnecessary. Now, I don't mean unnecessary for you. Of course they're necessary for you, but they're unnecessary for them. See, employment is expanded to meet demand. If there isn't demand, because people don't have money, for example, because of stagnant wages, then they're not going to have any need to create any more jobs. And not only that, you have automation and all that different stuff. So, look, corporate America is basically divorced from the rest of America. They're essentially now just making money on money, inflating their own stocks and then cashing in on those stocks. So even the moron president, George W. Bush, realized that he was screwed over in this. In a 2015 interview with former President Bill Clinton, and again, you have to take Clinton's word on this. I know he's not so very trustworthy, but I think on this issue, it would seem like it was legit. Now, Bush reportedly said in the issue of tax holidays to Clinton, "I hope you can figure it out. I'd never fool with it again." Oh, wait. No, I have to play this now. Where is it?
Fool me once. Shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
I hope you can figure it out. I never fool with it again, because you fooled me once. Fool me once. Shame on me. He said, he continues, they gave me all these promises about we'd sign a one-time 5.75% repatriation tax. They'd put the rest of it into jobs and pay raises And instead it went into management and pay and stock buybacks. And he said, quote, "I'm done with it." Well, you know who's not done with this? The Republican Party and Donald Trump, who all get paid by those same corporations that are now going to end up making a killing. They can't wait to get that money and to get it back at a rate that you and I don't even get to pay. Remember, they're getting a huge tax cut because they're hiding their money away from taxes. That is tax evasion. I mean, look, can you guys hide your money in the Cayman Islands and then end up paying a lesser rate? No, of course not. These are special rules created for the wealthy and corporations. They were carved into this tax code by politicians that are bought by these same corporations, also they can enrich those donors so they can get more and more campaign contributions. That's what this is about. And now Donald Trump, he's ready to do this again. If you think any of these politicians are for the people, think again. As far as Trump goes, he's the same old Republican, only there to serve himself and the donor class. And this again is another policy that is proof of that. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.